Hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Thursday Night Live with myself, Jacob Kirkbride, here on SAFC Fan TV. Joining me on tonight's show, we have got Owen, also known as the exiled Mackham. Owen, how are you doing this evening, mate?
I'm good, Jacob. Thank you. Yeah, ready to talk some Sunderland, and just when we thought it was all over, it goes again, doesn't it? We go again.
Absolutely. And we've also got Jack on tonight, the man who loves getting pints bought for him on a Sunderland away day. Jack, how are you doing this evening, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. It's good to see you, Jacob, on Saturday, by the way. Sorry before the game. I noticed you didn't have to buy me a drink, did you? Or was it all by then?
Maybe. Well, if you're down West Brom, only just ask, mate, honestly.
Looking forward to it as always. Should be a good hour. Looking forward to tonight.
And finally, we have also got Wayne. Wayne, how are you doing this evening, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, Jacob. It was a long day at work, but another day closer to the weekend. What's the saying? That's the hope that kills you, and it's like Owen was been saying. We think it's all over, and then it's back in the mix again. So it should be another good, interesting hour.
Only time will tell. Only time will tell going into our final three games. Don't forget the live chat is open tonight if you'd like to put forward any questions, and most importantly, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, SAFC Fan TV. If you could hit the thumbs up button, we would really appreciate it. So on tonight's show, we're going to be looking back at the previous two home games against Birmingham City and the 1-1 draw on Tuesday at home to Huddersfield Town, but also we'll be previewing Sunday's massive game away at West Bromwich Albion. But we're going to start with those two home games, the 2-1 win against Birmingham, the 1-1 draw against Huddersfield Town. Owen, we're going to come to you first, mate. We'll start off with the Birmingham game, a 2-1 win. Obviously, we took advantage of the confidence we had from that 1-0 win at Cardiff, and our quality showed on the day, coming from a goal down to get a 2-1 win. What was your overall assessment of that one?
Yeah, I mean, it was promised. That early goal wasn't great that we gave away. But I think, the way they fought back, the way they never gave up. It's kind of sums this team up, doesn't it? This season we just never give up, never stop fighting, and just go to the very end. And a 2-1 victory at home, you take it, especially obviously given the fact that our home form has been so absolutely shocking this season. It's just been appalling, and I think it showed a lot of character to fight back. And the lad Ahmad with that goal, and my God, are we going to miss him next season? He's just different class, isn't he? Absolute different class.
Yeah, it's going to be sad when, well, it looks like it's very unlikely, I should say, that we'll be having him back here next season, but only time will tell. I think there'll be a lot of tears being shed in that final home game of the season against Watford, unless, we perform a miracle and somehow sneak into the top six. On to the first glance at the live chat this evening. Mick Griffiths, evening one and all. Hope is all well. Las Palmas Mackham, evening lads. FTM. RWA Productions, I think we will get playoffs. Unfortunately, as we said before we came on air, it's the hope that kills you. And the Bristolian Mackham, it's good for you to join us tonight. Good evening, gentlemen. Owen, still touching on the Birmingham game. We went a goal down. I think it was midway through the first half, and then we just about right on half time. A corner came in from Pritchard. I think it was hooked back. I think it may have been by either Patrick Roberts or Danny Barton. There, in the centre was Trey Hume to get it in. Second half of the game, I think we upped the tempo a little bit. Joe Gelhardt came on, provided a lot of attacking press in the final third, but the creativity down the flanks of Clark and Ahmad Diallo, Birmingham couldn't cope, and obviously Diallo with a fantastic winning goal. But would you say we just about deserved it based on our second half display?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the second half display definitely up the game in that second half, and we were the better team, and we deserved those 3 points over Birmingham. I think we created the chances, like you said. Clark and Ahmad were superb down the wings, and Yeah, Gelhardt seems better coming off the bench. You know, he has been really effective coming off the bench. So, yeah, I think we definitely did deserve to take the 3 points away from that game. And it's, like I said, it's so encouraging given the fact our home form has been so shocking this season.
Jack, we'll come to you now on that Birmingham performance. As I touched on with Owen there, coming from a goal down and getting the 3 points. We haven't done that particularly at home many times. Obviously, the Blackburn one on Boxing Day was the last one I can think of. But yeah, Owen touched on there, considering it's now only just 7 wins all season. And obviously, it's a shame we didn't take advantage of that on Tuesday night. But the Birmingham performance, were you just more, I would say, disappointed the fact that we haven't been able to replicate performance like that on a consistent basis this season?
Yeah, I think the way that we play does really suit ourselves to playing away from home, because I think it does open up a little bit more space. Teams are more likely to come at this, but it is something that we need to sort out if we're in this league next season, which I know one or two will be hopeful that we're not. But if we do want to mount a serious promotion challenge, even playoffs or even automatics, I don't think that's too much beyond us next year. It is something that we need to look at when teams are pressing us high up. They're getting in our faces. They're being physical. They're slowing the game down at every opportunity. We need to find another way to win regularly, and I don't think we've done that enough at home this season. And as Owens correctly said, the home record has been fairly average, if not poor, considering how well we've done away from home. But on Saturday against Birmingham, I thought we needed that goal from Birmingham to kick us into life, because I thought we were fairly flat and sloppy in the first 20 minutes, half an hour. And it's only when they got the goal and suddenly it was like, well, it was suddenly pressuring us that we were going to get beat here. Did we start and play with a bit of tempo and start and push the wingers forward and get on the ball more? And I think the key was getting the equaliser just before half time, I thought, because I think if we'd gone into that 1-0 down at half time, we would have really been up against it. Birmingham would have made it even harder for us in the second half. Whereas we got the goal, perfect time, going in at 1-1, and then we took control. We were much the better team, second half dominated, and managed to see out the game with 10 men, which a little bit of a difficult moment when Shirton got sent off, but we got the 3 points, and great goal by Diallo. But I thought it was deserved. I thought on the balance of play, I thought we deserved the win on Saturday.
Interesting comment on the live chat. Jenna Lawrence, no strikers, no experience has cost us a solid top 6 place, considering the lack of experience and striking options in the side at the minute. Coming from a goal down against a solid team like Birmingham at home, would you say that the performance has gone, obviously it's more of a disappointment we didn't take that into Tuesday?
Yeah, I think when you get that win, I mean, you're looking at it thinking Birmingham and Huddersfield is struggling. Probably on paper might be an easier game, but we get the win against Birmingham first, and you think, right, go into Huddersfield and win again. And I thought we were a bit flat. I know we're probably going to come on to Tuesday in a moment, but I thought we were a little bit flat on Tuesday night. I thought we looked like we were tired, I felt, and maybe the games have caught up on us. And I think the short squad hasn't helped. I agree with what Jen is saying on the chat. She's talking about a lack of striker running in behind, and I completely agree, particularly on Tuesday night. When teams are pressing us at home, that's where you're crying out for Ross Stewart, because you knock the ball in behind. Ross Stewart runs in behind, gets you 20 yards up the pitch, and it also means the defence drop off a little bit because they're worried of that threat from Ross Stewart running in behind. Because we don't have that, teams are pressing us high up. But yeah, the squad is short. We've been unlucky with injuries as well, Jacob. I think that hasn't helped. But yeah, it was just disappointing that we only got the draw on Tuesday night, because a win with the other results going our way would have been brilliant. But I know we're probably going to come on to that in a second, so I'll keep my mouth shut for
now. No, it's fine, Jack. Wayne, before we come on to you on the Birmingham performance, another glance at the live chat. Mick Griffiths, just think if it wasn't for our home form, we would be high. Was it in a much higher position in the league? David Miller, however, has put, I'm getting fed up of the no striker whinging. We lost Stewart and Sims 2 days before the transfer deadline, and people are blaming Speakman is so dense. We might come on to that later on in the show. And Mikelon Allen, every season for the past 4 years, we were nervous scrapping for a playoff place in League One. Even not making it 1 year, now we're nervous scrapping for a playoff place in the Championship. Take that. Wayne, the Birmingham game, coming off the back of a solid win and a clean sheet against Cardiff. Obviously, we had to adjust the tactics a little bit that day based on Cardiff's physicality and us going away from home. But were you pleased to see a passionate and convincing attacking display coming from a goal down, considering our home record this campaign?
100%. I mean, it was like we've already been touched on the first 20 minutes, half an hour we were flat. Then when they scored, it kind of spurs into life. I mean, I was really impressed with their right winger. I think the kid they've got on from Man United is Tithe Chong. He was really, really good.
Yeah.
I think he impressed all game. And if we're looking for players for next season, if he's going to be up on loan again, I would be certainly looking at the likes of him. He was really, really good. He put certainly a lot of pressure all game. Ultimately in the sending off. But like Jack was saying, the goal in half time kind of changed it. We'll go in with a bit of momentum, and then I think the second half, the subs kind of changed the game once he brought Luke O'Nien on and Lyndon Gooch, and I think that kind of changed the game. Luke O'Nien and Joe Geltart, it changed the game. Geltart, I've been quite impressed in the last couple of games, and like Owen was saying, coming off the bench, he looks a bit playing with a bit more confidence. But it was nice to see us come from behind, like I say, that they could have easily folded given our home form this season, but we didn't. We dug in, and that man Ahmad popped up again with another great goal.
Obviously, I touched on Joe Gelhart with his pressing on Birmingham's backline, which obviously forced them to not have enough time on the ball. But obviously, it was our attacking threat on the wings that obviously got the win. But also how vital, you touched on there, Luke O'Nien coming on, carrying the ball out from the back towards the midfield, and obviously finding the right man. Adding a little bit of tempo to our play, because that was lacking in the first half, wasn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Like I say, we were flat. And just like I say, we're very, very slow build-up, can't be sitting off them. And I think we touched on the last show, Birmingham wasn't going to be an easy game. Similar to Hull, they came here with not really much to play for, the safe. So it was a kind of another free hit for them, and it proved that way. They weren't afraid to have a go. They got the goal, which was probably poor defending by us as well when you look at it. But Luke O'Nien, he has that tempo. He does that. He tries to make things happen. He's got that high energy game, and it definitely made a difference to that second half performance.
Absolutely. Obviously, Dennis Sirkin picked up a late red card in the game as well, obviously denying a counter attack for a foul on the guy you touched on there, Chong, who's on loan from Man United. But also, would you agree the fact that Mowbray had to think about seeing the game out on a defensive point of view as well? Obviously, he brought the new lad Anderson on, who I think we'll see more of next season, to tighten up at the back, win those second balls. And I think, considering the fact that fans would obviously have had the whole City game in the back of their minds, conceding in the dying seconds from the penalty spot, it's not over till the fat lady sings. I think a lot of people, myself included, in the ground that day, we're just thinking it's going to be Hull City at home part 2. But do you think the players learnt their lesson in that game, and just was more solid to see the game out in the end?
Yeah, I think the game management. I think we touched on the last show about the naivety of the game management. Our young players at home want to keep on pushing forward, but I think Anderson actually did quite well when he came on. I thought he didn't rush anything. He was quite solid. The balls he played forward and decisions he made were really, really good. So I thought we sorted the game quite well. It's always going to be nervy. I was like you. I think here we go again. Down to 10 men last 10 minutes. We're going to concede later on, but to be fair to the lads, we stuck in and we managed the game a lot better than we did against Hull, to see it out and get the 3 points. But Micheloni Allen's just said it in the chat that Chong actually joined Birmingham on a free transfer in the summer. So he's actually there playing, he's not on loan. So that stand corrected.
Is it? I think he's also put 2 million, I think, as well. So I'm not sure whether it was on a small fee from last summer
or a free.
Yeah. I'll look on that in a sec. Before we come on to Tuesday night's 1-1 draw against Huddersfield Town, David Joblin, good evening, lads. If Sunderland get in the Premiership this season, the latter spend some money on players. Emma Hansen, speaking of 09, doubt he'd be on the team sheets for Sunday, but don't blame the lads. And David Miller is touching on a striker that we had at Sunderland last season. Nathan Broadhead refused to come back as a second or third choice striker. So who do we reckon we could have got? People on here were saying get Connor Wickham back. Tell me what options we had. I think Connor Wickham was linked with a potential return during the January transfer window when Times got a little bit desperate searching for a striker to come in, considering the injury to Ross Stewart. But on to the game now against Huddersfield Town on Tuesday night. Owen, we'll start with you. Obviously, there was a change that was made. It was a forced change. Edouard Michou dropping out, I believe it was a back injury. And coming into the side, obviously, was Joe Gelhardt, which I personally think was, considering it was a forced decision, was the best option, considering his performance coming off the bench 4 days earlier against Birmingham. Obviously, he got a goal for his rewards just before half-time, a brilliantly taken finish after a brilliantly started counter-attack from the back. But what was your overall assessment of the game on Tuesday? Are you a tad disappointed the way how we started the second half and so easily allowed Huddersfield back into the game? Or would you say that even after their equalising goal, we could have done a bit more and be more clinical in the final third to go on and win the game?
Yeah, I think there was a couple of things coming out of Tuesday for me. I think, first of all, I agree with Jack. I think we did look tired. I think especially second half, the lads looked really, really tired. And I think, it really does show the problem at the moment we've got is this squad is absolutely paper thin, isn't it? It's so, we're down to the bare bones of this squad now. We've got what, one fit central defender, no strikers, no central defensive midfielders. We are really having to you looked at the bench on Tuesday as well, and there was just nothing on the bench. I mean, the French lads, Lahadji, Bar, decent players, but they're kids. They've hardly played at all. Then you've got Watson and Ellis Taylor, who've got no experience there. So, we're down to the bare bones, and we really are struggling with squad depth. Yeah, I mean, I think the first half we created a fair few chances, didn't we? I mean, Clark had a chance, and Gallagher had that chance that was blocked, and we were good in the first half, and we obviously got the goal. Second half, I think tiredness probably caught up with us, and we let them back into the game. And the other thing I think is that Mowbray, I think, slightly got the formation wrong. I mean, putting Pritchard in alongside, it seemed to me, Pritchard alongside Neil, and Neil was left isolated an awful lot. I know his theory behind it. He likes to play with 2 10s at the moment because he thinks it gives him more control. But I just think it would have been better if he'd started Ekwar there, or even at halftime brought Ekwar on. Just would have provided a bit more solidity in front of the back four, I think, to protect that lead. But because Pritchard's always going to go forward, isn't he? That's the sort of player he is. And Dan Neil is not a naturally defensive midfield player, is he? That's not his position. And he was left isolated an awful lot. So I think that part of the selection was slightly wrong. I would have liked to see Ekwar start instead of Pritchard. But yeah, I think it was slightly discouraging second half. And even after they equalised, we never really created a great deal or caused them any major problems, did we? In that second half, there was the odd shot wide, but there was no cavalry charge at the end. But I think part of that was down to the fact that what could Mowbray do? Who could he bring on? I mean, he brought Lahadji on for Gelhardt. Lahadji's not a striker, and he's hardly played any football in England at all. So he literally had nothing, did he, to change that team?
But regarding obviously what Mowbray did, would you argue the fact that Gelhardt coming off was the wrong decision at the time he did? Because I thought personally he was having one of his better games on Tuesday night. I know it's obviously he's not a striker at all, really. He was brought in to be a number 10 behind Ross Stewart before his injury. But yeah, I think the time obviously the substitution was made, I think a lot of fans, particularly on social media, were a bit baffled like myself. I thought him being left on the pitch a tad longer may have made a little bit more of a difference from an attacking point of view. But also, would you agree, you were touching on there, Alex Pritchard lined up alongside Dan Neil. Do you think Tony Mowbray during the summer, he's still sort of in the back of his mind, he doesn't know what is the best option to have alongside Dan Neil in the middle of the park at the minute? He's still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gelhardt should have stayed on a bit longer. I think we should have left him up top, possibly even put Lahadji up top with him. And I mean, it was 1-1 at that point. Might as well go for it. Go for it. Win 2-1, or even go for it and lose. You might as well. You got nothing to lose at that point. A point at that point we thought was realistically no good. We needed to win the game. So yeah, I'd have left Gelhardt and possibly put Lahadji up top with him. shuffle the team around a little bit. But yeah, I think in terms of who plays next to Dan Neil, I think, yeah, there is an uncertainty there. I think obviously Corey Evans is probably the best player to do that, but there's no natural replacement for Corey Evans, is there, in this team? Ekwar is probably the next closest thing, but Ekwar is more an 8 anyway. He said that himself, didn't he, when he joined the club? So, and also, at the end of the day, Mowbray has no say. It's not down to him who comes in the summer, is it? It's all down to Christian Speakman, whatever you think of that, So I think, yeah, he has got a dilemma as to who plays next to Dan Neil and what the best option is. For me, like I said, Mishu and Neil are good players, but I don't know, you just can't play both of them. They're a bit too lightweight. You need a bit of physicality in there alongside Dan Neil for me.
Jack, before we come to you on Tuesday night's game, quick glance at the live chat. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. By the way, most importantly tonight, obviously hit the thumbs up button. If we can get over 100 likes, it'll be very much appreciated. Emma Hampson, we played very poor on Tuesday. Is that because players are tired and down, obviously, to injury? If so, does it give us much hope for the next 3 games? We'll leave that for our panel tonight to decide. Mick Griffiths, the performance on Tuesday was awful. We were lucky to come away with a point. It looked like we ran out of ideas. And David Miller, Geldhart did well, should have stayed on longer. Jack, the game against Huddersfield on Tuesday, obviously we started the game, especially on the counter-attack, absolutely electrifying. Huddersfield at times couldn't really cope with the pace we had up front. But, I thought as the game went on, they managed to obviously tighten up at the back and obviously made it difficult for ourselves. But obviously, would you say we deserved the lead and just didn't capitalise on us pressurising their back line enough going into the start of the second half?
Yeah, I thought we were completely on top in the first half. We got the goal and I was expecting us to go on again and create chances and get another one before half-time. And we had a couple of half openings and then we got into half-time. We were going okay. And then second half, you know what Warnock's like? He'd have gone into them and put a rocket up the backsides and said, "Look, lads, you're making these look better." He'd given them a siege mentality, you know what I mean? And you're making these look brilliant and you're doing a disservice to yourself and all of that. And I sensed within the first 5 or 10 minutes of the second half, I thought this game's changed, and not just changed because it was the second half, but I meant like the tactics and the actual pattern of play within the game had changed. They stepped right up and they were well drilled. They were physical in our faces. They weren't letting us get in behind and they weren't letting us get the ball down, and they were really hurrying us. And I thought there's a goal coming in. I think that's when he maybe should have changed it. And I spotted it after 5 minutes, like, as has been touched on, where I think needed to come on, a little bit of physicality in the middle. And it didn't happen, and the goal came. And really, we never really looked like scoring after that, did we? If anything, towards the last 5 or 10 minutes, it looked like Huddersfield were going to nick it. I thought I was sort of, towards the end, as disappointed as I was at the point. In the end, I was like, well, if that game had gone on another 10 or 15 minutes, I think we would have lost, because I think we looked like we were dead on our feet and running out of ideas. So, yeah, it was just disappointing because, as we've touched on, the other results went our way last night, and it would have been a really good win. Would have been 3 wins on the spin: Cardiff, Birmingham and Huddersfield. And it's just a little bit disappointing that we've sort of ran out of momentum a little bit, because one of our key points last season, why we got promoted, was we seemed to find momentum towards the end of last season. We put a good run together, and now it looks like, you could blame injuries or form, but it looks like it's slightly going the other way. Hopefully not. Hopefully it was just a one-off, but it wasn't a good sign. I thought not only running out of ideas, but the fact we did look like we were a really stretched squad, as we were, and we looked like the players were starting to tire a little bit, which is to be expected with a young squad, but doesn't do our chances any good.
Obviously, missed chances are the ones I can think of in Tuesday's game. Right before half-time, great flick back from Geldhart to Pritchard. You just wonder if he'd hit that shot earlier. Instead, it obviously fell into the path of Ahmad Diallo, who unfortunately ballooned it over the bar. And during the second half, I think an absolutely outstanding run. Great balance from Jack Clark. I think he just about found a pass to Diallo in the box, and he couldn't sort his feet out to get a shot on goal. But onto the goal, Jack, we conceded. Josh Koroma in the 59th minute. Watching it back, were you disappointed the amount of room he was allowed to have, charging towards the penalty area? I think the closest man to him was Geldhart. Would you say that he could have done more, to get a challenge in before the shot?
I think it was just a little bit naive. I don't think we expected the lad to carry the ball as well as we did, cut inside and put it in. But I think when he gets to the edge of the box, you can't do anything. But I think there's an argument for just wiping him out as he's coming through. You can see the dangers there. Before he gets into the box, obviously, when he's in a dangerous area on the edge of the box, you want to be careful. But he seemed to carry it and he pick up speed, and there was nobody anywhere near him. And I think that's where our team lacks a little bit of the nasty side of the game, if you want to call it that. You know what I mean? The cynical side of the game that sometimes you need to have. We've got a lot of young players and they're very good technically, but sometimes you have to smell the danger and realise it. And I don't think that's one of our strong points. I think we're very weak at it. We're one of the worst in the league, actually. I just think it was a bit naive. I mean, fair play to the lad. He got it on his left foot and stuck it in the corner, didn't he? I think, did it take a deflection on the way it went in as well? It seemed to sort of get a nick, which probably didn't help.
It looks like, yeah.
Yeah, but he was certainly, I agree, he certainly was allowed to carry the ball so far. Nobody came out to meet him, and you should potentially an option for taking him out before he gets any further. So I think that's something that we need to look at next season, just being a little bit more cynical and really smelling when the danger's there, because you should know when somebody's running at your defence, it's potentially you're in trouble, and I don't think we realised it until it was too late.
Would you say that we missed Dennis Sirkin big time on Tuesday?
Yeah, I think he offers the option going forward and going back as well, and I think he's improved. He's improved quite a lot in the last year, considering the play we had in League One last year. I think he's improved a hell of a lot in the Championship this year. So yeah, we did miss him, and the problem is we haven't got a deep enough squad. When our first team players are out, it's square pegs and round hole to a certain extent. You're hoping options work, and it just didn't really work for us on Tuesday night.
Owen, before we come to you, 39 likes on the video so far tonight. If you are watching, and obviously you've commented on the live chat tonight, if you could please hit the thumbs up button, it will be very much appreciated. 100 like target we've got going this evening. Wayne, Huddersfield on Tuesday, it was a missed opportunity, wasn't it? Like what Jack said, based on the other results that went for us Tuesday night and also last night as well. Obviously looking the Blackburn result, Coventry's keeper getting a stoppage time equaliser at Ewood Park, and it makes the table look really, really interesting going into the last 3 to 4 games. I think it's Blackburn and West Brom that have got a game in hand. I think those games in hand are against the current top 2, Burnley and Sheffield United. But would you say at this stage of the season, you can't really afford to look at what other teams are doing elsewhere? It's about what you do. And sadly, we didn't take that opportunity on Tuesday. And based on our second half performance, we only have ourselves to blame.
Yeah, big style. I mean, if you take the whole draw in the Huddersfield, there's another 4 points we've dropped, would have been right in the mix. And that's a frustrating thing, to be dropping points like we'll touch on at home. It's the home form that's killed us this season. It's 7 wins. It's nowhere near good enough for me. It's just really, really frustrating. I mean, I think he got the team selection wrong on Tuesday. When I seen Dan Neil, like Owen's already touched on, Dan Neil was in there on his own, and they were just passing through him. And then he gets the early yellow card. He's struggling, straight away. So, and then come out second half, I think, like Jack's been saying, we were sloppy. We kept giving the ball away. And Roberts, I thought it was second half. He went out of the game, and he should have been the one that I would have took off to put Ekwar on. They actually got the goal exactly how Tony Mowbray said they play. They press you high, they try and pinch the ball off you, and they break on you, and that's what they did. They pinched the ball, and Roberts was a poor first touch, pinched it off him, and the lad runs through. I mean, wiping him out. Maybe if Daniel wasn't on that yellow card, he might have done that. But he just couldn't get anywhere near him. He rifles that shot in the top corner, and it's flat. And I think we just about home for a point. Obviously, Danny Batt's gone off as well with injury, so that's another one. But we're just struggling for bodies, and like for Geltard, I would have kept Geltard on. Lahaji looked a mile off it for me. He's nowhere near ready for the first team. He looked, to be honest, like a fish out of the water. I just thought he didn't get in the game. He struggled to get to the pace of the game. So, and then he brought young Tommy Robson on for his debut. So it just shows you how stretched the squad is. If we expect them lads to come on and change games, it's not fair on them really. They're only young lads. So no, it was a frustrating result. But I think that's the reason why I think we'll fall short this season, because of the the lack of squad depth and the injuries we've got at the minute.
Obviously, you touched on there. Obviously, the substitutions that were made. Tony Mowbray obviously bringing the young lad Watson on. His hands were tied behind his back, wasn't he? You know, the squad is so stretched right now, and it's unfortunate for obviously these players. Obviously, are getting minutes at the minute, but I think we're going to see more of them next season in terms of what they really can do and how much of an impact they can make on the starting 11 if played on a consistent basis. But Wayne, you were touching one player you were touching on there, Dan Neil. What would you say? Because a lot of people have been saying, you know, we haven't found the right midfielder to play, the right type of midfielder to play alongside him. But what would you say? Firstly, what does Dan Neil need to have next? Does he need to have a player that's going to drop deeper? Does he need someone that's going to, you know, carry the ball beyond him? And obviously, secondly, what is Dan Neil's best role? Do you think he's more of a box-to-box midfielder, someone who can drop deeper as well, carry the ball beyond the halfway line and feed it to one of our attacking players? Or does he have the capability of, you know, playing in a more attacking role behind the number 10?
I think he's got the ability to play anywhere in that midfield, really. I mean, I think his best games this season when he's had Corey Evans alongside him. You know, just before Corey Evans got injured, we were starting to look really good and solid in that midfield. When Mitchell's played alongside him, I just think we're too lightweight. I know Ekwa's only played a couple of games, but Ekwa adds that physicality. Ideally, I'd probably like to see him play alongside Ekwa, which it'll give him license to get forward a bit more. He needs to work on his shooting a little bit. Obviously, I think that he had a few chances, didn't he, against Cardiff and the blazed them out with the bar. But he's got the potential to be, you know, anything he wants to be, really. He's good. He is a box-to-box. He gets forward and gets back, but he's more of a creative and a playmaker for me. You know, when he gets on the ball and he turns and he can switch the play well, he just needs that deep line player to cover him when he does get forward. So either Corey Evans or if Ekwa can be changed into that, that's how I see him playing. But for the remainder of the season, I'm not too sure. You know,
Owen, we'll come to you on the same debate, but a quick glance at the live chat before we do. Mikel and Alan, Lahaji played a lovely flick into the box for Pritchard's penalty. Shout though, Ken A. Needs Roberts nearer to be closer, not in centre. I think he was implying that the position that Patrick Roberts was playing in on Tuesday was not the right decision. Mick Griffiths, it's been like that for years, Ian. Ever the manager was, I don't know why. I think he's referring to comments made further up in the live chat. Owen, Dan Neil, would you say, obviously I've had this debate with a few fans the past few months. We're struggling right now to work out what sort of play we need to have alongside him, but also, you know, starting to wonder what is Dan Neil's best position in terms of how we use him to great effect. And obviously it could be an area we need to look at for the start of next season.
Yeah, I mean, I think his best position is where he is, but I think he has to have someone who's more defensively minded alongside of him so that he can push on, that he can link the defence and midfield together. I mean, that's where he's best. I mean, I wouldn't certainly push him into that front three. I think, you know, where he is, he does play well if he's not the person who's required to do the digging out, who's required to do the dirty work, who's required to be the defensive midfield player. That's just not him. He never has been that type of player. And I think you restrict Dan Neil if you put him into that role, because it's just not his role, is it? I mean, he's done an admirable job this year, the lad. You know, he's been asked to do that, and he's done an admirable job, bless him. But, you know, like Wayne was saying, he's had his best games when Corey Evans has been there alongside. And I think a lot of fans underestimate what Corey Evans brings to this team. You know, Evans, he's the dog. He does the dirty work. That's all he's in there for, is just to break things up, smash things up, and give the balls easy to sideways to Dan Neil or slightly forward to whoever's playing as the attacking midfield player. So we do need that physical presence alongside him. And I think Evans will obviously be back next season. He's obviously going to have to play a role. But I do think in the summer, whoever goes out and buys the players in the summer, we do need to go and get a central defensive midfield player, but not but not some teenager from an academy who's going to take 2 to 3 months to settle in. It's got to be someone who comes in with a bit of experience, a bit of nous, someone who knows the championship and knows what is required in the championship to get us up. That's what we need. We don't need any more kids. We've got loads of them. What we do need is a bit of experience in that team. And I really do hope that in the summer he goes out and gets an experienced replacement or backup for Corey Evans.
Back onto the live chat before we come to you on the same debate, Jack. Mick was referring to a comment that Ian Curry made. Sunderland sitting back is typical nearly every game. That's our trouble. We rarely play our game for the full 90 minutes. I think he could be referring mainly to our home performances this season. I think away from home, we have sorted out our defensive issues, and at home, I think we've let the pressure get to us a little bit, but hopefully that problem can be rectified going into the start of next season. Jack, Dan Neil, what would you say right now is the best player out of the central midfielders we've got to have alongside him? You know, someone who can drop back and do the physical work in Pierre Ekwa, someone who can do a bit of both, go forward and back in Abdullah Bar, or someone who can move the ball about well, but also with pace in Edouard Michou.
I think you just need somebody to be holding, just sitting in front of the back four. I think Dan Neil's best when he's on the ball, when he's looking forward. He's got great vision. He's got great technical ability to receive the ball in any area of the pitch. He's got good control of the ball. Dan Neil, he loves having the ball at his feet. When you ask him to do other things, he's not as great. When you ask him to sort of get forward and join in attacks, when you ask him to track back, when you ask him to put his foot in and win the ball, that's not his skill set, as the lads have touched on. His ability is technical ability on the ball. So I think you're needing somebody with a bit of discipline behind him. You're needing somebody to sit in front of the back four and protect the back four, but also be able to put his foot in a little bit, win a few tackles, and graft and do that sort of thing that Dan Neil isn't great at doing, and then that gives a sort of a bit more freedom to Dan Neil to get on the ball and use his attributes. I think Wayne mentioned and playing attacking midfield. I think that might be something he can look to in the future, but I think he'd probably have to work on his end product. As he mentioned, he needs to up his numbers in terms of his assists and his goals, in terms of getting late in the box and finishing and setting it up in the final third. And his decision making in the final third sometimes isn't as good as when he's a bit further back and he's got more of the pitch in front of them, I find. So I think at the minute he's a centre mid. To me, he's an out and out centre midfielder. Who would I have alongside him? Well, the best lad's injured, Corey Evans. So who's fit at the minute? I would say probably Ekwa. I think Ekwa's not brilliant at the minute. He will get better. But I think for Dan Neil's skills, I think the best skills you can get to go alongside, that's probably Ekwa. He's tall. He's got a bit of physicality. He doesn't mind getting stuck in and getting his foot in. Not brilliant on the ball, but if you can tell him for the next 3 games just to get it and give it to Dan Neil, that might work a treat. But I think we need, it's certainly, the whole spine of the team's been injured though, hasn't it? Let's be honest. We're missing Dan Neil. We're missing Dan Ballard at the back. We're missing Corey Evans through the middle and Ross Stewart up front. That's the spine of your team. In 3 of arguably 3 of your most important players are completely missing from the team. So there are going to be things that we can work on. But I think I would have Dan Neil with Ekwa at the minute. That's the best option.
Lucifer on the live chat. We need 3 strikers, a dude who can replace Evans as a defensive midfielder, someone talented playmaker who can get near Ahmad, another centre back. I hope we don't get promoted, as crazy as it sounds. A few people have said that this week. Let us know what you think of that comment made there, and a few others who have said it's a little bit too soon to go up. I personally think if you've got the opportunity, you go for it, but I can understand the doubters with this squad right now. You have to look at it on a clearer level and say, do we have enough capability to really compete with the players we've got available in the squad right now? And also, have we got the capability to attract and get in the right type of players if we were to define all the odds and somehow win promotion this season? It's a big ask, but anything can happen in this crazy division. On to the game on Sunday now. Massive game away West Bromwich Albion, 12 o'clock kickoff live on the box. West Brom coming off the back of back-to-back wins away at Stoke and Blackpool. Currently sit 2 places above us in the Championship table in 7th place. Have got a game in hand. Carlos Carbahan, their manager, who took Huddersfield Town to the playoff final last season, is now hoping for a similar return with the Midlands side. Jack, would you say out of the 3 remaining games we've got left, this is the most tough, you would say?
Absolutely, yeah. I think probably, in my opinion, West Brom are the best side this season out of the 3, and they're also in form. I think the most out of the 3. Watford are right off form next week. I'm looking at their recent fixtures, and they've lost and drawn quite a few. And Preston were doing well, but I think they've had a little bit of a wobble as well, haven't they? So West Brom are in form, and it's going to be a really really tough game. I think that Carbahan's a good manager. I think he's gone in and had a real impact at West Brom. They were bottom half. I think when he took over, I think they were struggling, and he has pushed them up under the verge of the playoffs. And they showed before in December when they came here, they had a really good second half performance. Got a little bit lucky. I think the goal that they scored that night, the winning goal, was out of play, if I remember rightly, on that freezing cold night. In December, so they got a little bit of luck, but they had us really under the caution. We battered them in the first half, but they completely switched it around. He got the better of Tony Mowbray tactically. I think he made some changes, Corberan, and I thought they deservedly won the game in the second half. So it's a really really tough game. I think you're looking at West Brom squad that they have got some really really good players as well. You know, some players at the Championship level you would have in your team. To be honest, let's be honest, and they've probably got more squad depth and less injuries than us. So it's a really hard game. Normally in this scenario, I would say take a point, but at the minute, we need 3 wins, don't we? So a point maybe not the option, but it's going to be a really hard game. But yeah, I think it's going to be the hardest of the 3. Yeah, to answer your question.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, you touched on the good amount of Championship experience they've got in their side. Well, the talent they've got in their squad as well, with obviously likes of Chalobah, Furlong, Peters at the back, Townsend their left back, and also Asante up front, who's done pretty well for them this season. And going there, Jack, what would you say we need to do differently regarding the way how we go forward with the ball, and also in terms of changes we need to make sure we're a little bit more effective, but also tightening the midfield up so we don't let them in behind?
Yeah, I think you've got to start Ekwa. I don't think you can go with the same midfield pairing that you went on Tuesday night. So I think you've got to bring Ekwa in, not because you particularly rate him, but I think, as we've touched on, he's the best option for alongside Dan Neil in the middle. I think we like we've touched on. I think we are better away from home, so we might actually find it easier when they come at us to quickly counter. So that's definitely an option, but we're going to have to be wary of them having probably a lot more of the ball than Huddersfield had the other night, having to defend a little bit more on our own half than we did the other night. So I think we're going to have to be switched on to the threat that they pose. Changes to the team, as I mentioned, I would bring Ekwa in. I think he needs to start away from home. Certainly, you're going to be up against it a little bit. So I would bring him in. I would probably drop Pritchard. I don't think he had that good of a game the other night, and I don't think he would. I don't think he'll suit the game against West Brom. So I think that would definitely be one that I look to. At the back, we don't know how well Danny Barth is. He would be a big miss if he doesn't play, because he's the physical centre back that we've got. He's the one that heads, and he's a bit of height. So he will be a major miss. Who do we play? Probably throw the young lad Anderson on. He's sort of thrown him in at the deep end in a big game, but would be the only one that would be a false change, though. I think the only one I would make would bring Ekwa in for probably Pritchard.
Wayne, before we come on to Sunday's game with you, a few bits of transfer talk in the live chat tonight. Ian Curry, we should be buying Mishu now, giving contracts to all our players. Tam believes it's a 5 million clause if we're going to bring Edouard Mishu back to the stadium, if like Mikel Allen has suggested. Apparently it's 2.5 million, 2.3 has been bantered about as well. Emma's thrown that one in. Lucifer has also put in another comment in the live chat tonight. I like what KLD is doing. Too much mismanagement for too long by spending terribly. If we get a young team destroying the Championship, that will be a base to work on. Right now, it's stability. And David Miller has provided a comment based on West Brom for the weekend. Blackpool ripped up West Brom's defence from what I saw at the weekend. Bad finishing and hit the post. Let's face it, Blackpool. Obviously, there's a reason why they're down there this season. Obviously, a lack of goal threat, and obviously they didn't take advantage of their chances. And West Brom ended up winning that game 2-0. Wayne, West Bromwich Albion this Sunday. What are your thoughts going into the game? And the same question as what I asked Jack, what changes would you like to see Tony Mowbray make?
Yeah, I mean, make no mistake about it's going to be a difficult game. Like I said, they won the last 2 games, but it's kind of the same kind of scenario as when we went to Norwich, isn't it? You know, they were in good form. We went there and put in a great performance and got a 1-0 win. So I'm hoping we can kind of do the same, but like we've already touched on this time, we're going to go there with a severely depleted squad. I don't know, is Dennis Certain available, or is it a 1 match or is it a 3-match ban for Dennis Certain? Is he back?
Just one, I think, with 2
yellows.
It was
just one, yeah. I think he's back.
So it's obviously with that, Jack's already said about Danny Batt, how fit is he going to be? So I'd definitely bring Certain back in if he's available. Possibly forced to put Anderson in. He might even possibly go to a back 3 of Hume, O'Neill and Certain and play Clark as a wing back, but then who do you play as the right wing back? I definitely wouldn't. I'd definitely have Ekwart in. I think that the away game before Cardiff, he had a good performance, and I was quite a little bit surprised he was left out of the home game after. And I'd have Geltart in as well. So my change would be Certain will be in if fit, and Geltart will be on for up front with Ahmad, Neil and Ekwart in the middle, Robertson, Clark, and Hume, O'Neill, Batt if fit, and Certain as a back 4. But it's going to be a difficult game. Like I say, they've got stuff to play for. That they're in 6th at the moment, are they? Or 7th at the minute. They're a point outside. They're possibly out as well as Swansea, that they are the team in form in that group of teams alongside us. You know, we're in decent form, 2 wins and 4 draws in our last 6 games. So they're not fancy players. They'll know they're in for a difficult game, but you know, we've just got to go down there and put on the same type of performance that we've done against Cardiff and Norwich, and try and dig in and get and sneak a result. And if we were to get a win down there, I think we're firmly back in the mix.
I mean, only time will tell. But one thing I will say, I mean, like myself, you'll probably remember, obviously you being older, from our record down at the Hawthorns over the years has been not great. So I can't remember our last win there. Probably, I think it was when Roy, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe put this in the chat tonight, guys, when Roy Keane was manager, where we won the league. I think it was a 2-1 win. I think it was Dwight York was on the score sheet that day. I think that was our last win there. Since then, it's been a horrendous record as far as I'm concerned. I think the key memory that stands out is Paolo Di Canio coming over to the fans at the end of the game after the 3-0 defeat, and I think that was his last game before he got sacked. But records are there to be broken. It was like the saying, going to another Midlands club, Birmingham, this season. We'd had an awful record at St Andrews up until that point, so hopefully history repeats itself and luck is on our side going into Sunday. But then again, good memories at West Brom. Who can forget Lee Catamol's wonder in the first game of the season back into it? I think it was after about 3 or 4 minutes, wasn't it? There was unreal limbs in the away end that day. Another glance at the live chat before we come to you, Owen, on Sunday's game. Mick Griffiths, it's going to be a tough game on Sunday. I think we'll be lucky to get another 1-1 draw. Hope I'm wrong. Emma Hampson has put a bit of is throwing in a grub, suggesting nice pub with a kebab in back beside
she's talking about, Jacob, there. Is that
what's that, sorry?
I think, is that the Vine she's talking about there? There's a pub next to it.
Yes. One thing I've heard about West Brom, apparently the places in and around where their ground is does the best post and pre-match curry, whatever time you decide to go for it. And the best pre-match Ruby best lucky pre-match Ruby as we hope. So yeah, if you're in West Brom, I've heard, go and get a pre-match curry. It's absolutely superb. But yeah, Owen, on to you now with the game on Sunday at the Hawthorns. What are your thoughts going into this one, and how confident are you that we can improve on Tuesday night's result and get back to more of an effective display, considering our away record this season, where we've gone to places and got results, even at times where we were completely written off?
Yeah, I mean, I think of the games that are remaining, of the games that we've got left, I think this is the toughest one. They are a very good side. You know, Carlos Corberan's got them playing well. He's got them playing some good football, and as we saw at the stadium, I like when they came up. The second half they completely bossed us, didn't they? So obviously, apart from that dodgy goal they scored, but it's going to be a really tough game. But I think it's like Wayne. I think it was Wayne was saying it's a time for kind of a Norwich type performance again. I'd like to see them go out and basically just go for that similar sort of game plan as they used against Norwich. Defend deep, press when they have to. The fact that they can't press solidly for 90 minutes because they'll be absolutely shattered. So yeah, selective press when they like they did against Norwich. Play with a bit of intelligence. Create a couple of chances and take one of them. I mean, that's the model we've got to follow. Because no one expected us to get anything at Carrow Road. Everyone thought that we'd go down there and get trashed by Norwich. So I think it's definitely a case of hoping that's what we can come up with. It isn't going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. And I think you're right, Jake. The last time we won down there was 2007. It was an awful long time ago. But but I think the thing that's going to be encouraging is, it seems to me over the last few games and stuff like that. I mean, even when we went for that really tough run of fixtures, we play a better football away from home, and we play a better football against teams who want to come and play us as well. And West Brom are not going to sit back. They're not going to defend. They're not going to park the bus and kick and scrap. They're going to want to actually play a football against us. And I think that'll probably suit us a whole lot better. I think Ekwar's got to come back into the team for the game. The one thing that concerns me is the back four. I mean, if O'Nien is out because his missus is giving birth, which is fair enough, you don't blame him for that, and Danny Bath isn't fit, you're going to have a makeshift centre-half pairing of probably Tri-Hume and Joe Anderson. That's the one thing that does slightly worry me for the game is who the back four will be, because we are down to the last of what we've got in defence. If it is a case that O'Nien and Bath are missing, you're probably going to have Lyndon Gooch, Tri-Hume, Joe Anderson, and Dennis Serkin as your back four. There's nothing else, is there? Sort of bringing one of the kids in from the youth team, the under 21s, like, is it Zach Johnston, or Johnston, one of the central defenders? But I think it's too big a game to throw him in for. So you've got to hope, I think, that Bath at least comes through whatever injury he's got and he's fit to play on Sunday.
He's played a lot of games this season, hasn't he? As well, Danny Bart has been a key member of this side. It's difficult to predict, considering our record there. How we're gonna approach the game. Personally, I think it will be similar tactics to what we saw in the Burnley and Norwich game, where we'll go there with a high press and obviously try and get them on the break and try and force their backline into some mistakes. But would you say, Owen, that Mowbray will go for those sort of tactics, or do you reckon he'll throw in some surprises to the starting 11 that we weren't expecting? But also, I should say, you were talking about our problems we may have at centre-back for Sunday. Could you say this might be too much of a risk? He can play there. He's played there before. Dennis Serkin potentially coming in as a centre-half, but might be too much of a risk him playing there, considering his head injury at Millwall earlier on in the season.
Yeah, I think it's too much of a risk to put Serkin in there. And plus, Serkin's your naturally left-footed player, your natural left-back, and if Hume's going to go into centre-half, Anderson is a centre-half. That's why we bought him. Let's see what the kid's got. I mean, he had rave reviews with Everton's under 21s, and that he is realistically the only centre-half we've got left. But yeah, I mean, I think it's too risky. As for the tactics, no, I think he'll use the same tactics he used against Burnley and Norwich. Why wouldn't he? I mean, they worked against Burnley. We got a 0-0 draw when everyone expected us to get absolutely battered at Turf Moor. And then again at Norwich, they worked, didn't they? And I think, personally, that way of playing suits us. And I think, go down there, use a similar sort of tactic, put a high press on them, get after them. And I think there's every chance, we could sneak away with a 1-0.
We're going to come on to score predictions in just a second. Before we do that, another glance at the live chat. Amp the Mackham, history is history. West Brom are there for the taking. Every result on Wednesday went our way. Couldn't have asked for better, really. It's just a shame that we couldn't capitalise second half and get the win against Huddersfield. Ian Curry, the same happened last season with results going our way. Lucifer, unfortunately, thinks we'll lose at West Brom. That's not a wish. Being a Sunderland fan for a long time, not a disaster. This season for me has just been nothing but positive. Just unlucky with injuries. Ken A has predicted a 1-1 draw for Sunday. Nicolon Allen, remember Mowbray said he would use Dan Ballard if the playoffs are still on and we need him. Don't be surprised. It'll be interesting to see how fit he is going into Sunday's game. Just another glance. 85 people are watching our live stream currently. Only 53 likes. If you've just joined us, if you could please hit the thumbs up button, it'll be really much appreciated. So yeah, Owen, we'll start with you. Score prediction for that game at the Hawthorns on Sunday, and who are your goal scorers for the game?
I'm going to go 1-0 Sunderland. Jack Clark. I think Clark's been phenomenal this season, and I think he'll get one of those typical Jack Clark goals, cut in from the left-hand side and smash it in the goal. So yeah, 1-0 to Sunderland.
Nice one. Jack, we'll come to you next. Score prediction and who's going to get the goals on Sunday?
I want to be positive, and I do try and be positive every time, but I just think West Brom are in form. They're at home. We're a little bit struggling with injuries. Well, I say they're in form. I'm looking. They've only won the last two. Before that, they're a bit iffy. But I just think our injuries and the season might just catch up with us a little bit on Sunday. It's a really, really tough place to go. And we've touched on the poor record. We don't know what centre-half partnership we're going with. And I would love to be positive and try and think we're going to come out with a win. But I think this might just be the sort of step too far for this team. I think it's going to be 2-1 West Brom, I'm afraid. I think we'll give them a good game. I think we'll be in it right up until the end, but I think we might just come up a little bit short. Who's our goal scorer? I don't know. I think I might go Gelhardt. I think Gelhardt seems like he's picking up towards the end of the season. He might get on the end of something, but I think they may come out the traps, and it wouldn't surprise us if we're 1-0 down early, because they'll know that this is their a huge chance for them to sort of give their playoff hopes a boost, but also put the final nail in our coffin in terms of playoffs as well. So I think we might go behind early and come back in it later on and give ourselves a shout. But I think 2-1 West Brom and Gelhardt scorer.
Some more predictions for Sunday coming in on the live chat. The Casual Observer. Bit of a bogey ground, the Hawthorns. If Smogger plays 6 wingers like Tuesday, I can't see us getting much. And truthfully, it would be a blessing in disguise. We've had a good season and consolidated well. Emma Hansen, fellow member of SAFC Fan TV, 1-0 to West Brom for me. And sadly, score predictions are not going what I expected in tonight's live chat, unfortunately. Lucifer has predicted a 2-1 win for West Brom. But however, he wants to be wrong. Mikel Allen still believes the playoff dream is still alive. I'm saying this now, even if we lose, playoffs isn't over. Rob Alexander, hopefully 1-1. That said, we've not beaten West Brom since 2014. I believe that was the 2-0 win that kept us in the Premier League under the Great Escape with Gus Poyet, Barini, and I don't want to say his name, Jack Colback was on the score sheet that evening. Wayne, on to you, mate. Score prediction for Sunday's game and who's going to get the goals?
Like I said, tough game, but also bear in mind that the other teams that have already played on Saturday before we play on Sunday as well. So the picture might look completely different before Sunday's game. Blackburn are at Preston, so if Blackburn win, they'll be 5 points above us. So does that put more pressure on West Brom to win? I don't know, but I think I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I can't see us going there getting a win. But our away performance have been decent, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I'm going to go with Gelhardt. He seems to be in form. He took his goal well on Tuesday night. I'd love to see us get a win, but I can't see it. 1-1 draw for me, and maybe that's just the playoffs out of reach after Sunday for me.
On to my score prediction now before we go back to the live chat for the final time this evening. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Sunderland on Sunday, but I think will come from a goal down to do it. I think we'll be a goal down at half time, and I think Tony Mowbray will definitely give them a hiding in the dressing room. Unfortunately, I hope I'm wrong. Hopefully, you know, the lads make life a lot easier and come out all guns blazing, and we put in a great attacking display in the first half, and we're ahead. But I think we'll come from a goal down like we did against Birmingham. Second half, we'll turn it on, and I think it will be goals from. I think the confidence will be taken from Geldhart after Tuesday's display, so I think he'll get one. And you know what? I'm going to say another Amad Diallo winner from the right-hand side, cutting in on his left and putting one in the top corner. David Miller has gone for 3-0 to the lads, Geldhart and Roberts, and he's gone for Pierre Equa. David Miller, apparently friends of my dad, well cheered, Jacob, and give your dad my regards. Nice to see his painting at the footy exhibition at the Sunderland Museum last month. Thank you very much, appreciated. Emma Hansen, great show, lads. And Ken A has got to take your hats off to Sunderland players this season, no matter what they have done. Great, proud. I think he means he's very proud of them for the comment that he's put. So far, going into the latter stages of tonight's show, 83 people are watching, 61 likes. If we can get that up a notch with the people who just joined, please hit the thumbs up button. It will be very much appreciated. But most importantly, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to SAFC Fan TV. And also I want to give out a shout out as well to a particular fan from what I've heard, tunes all the way from Japan. Chris Minton. So hope you're doing well over there, mate. Nice to see. Appreciate that you're a fan of the channel and you watch on a weekly basis. Thank you for yeah, all the way from Japan, mate. Absolutely brilliant. Guys, thank you very much for joining us on tonight's live show. Jack, would you like to say goodbye, mate?
Yeah, I'll see you all later, lads and lasses.
Wayne?
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to watch the show. Appreciate it. Speak soon. Ta-da.
Owen?
Thanks everyone in the live chat for your comments and your questions. I'll catch you all later. Take care.
Absolutely. As Owen said, thank you very much for contributing to the live chat tonight, and also thank you very much to the 65 people who've hit the thumbs up button, also from the current 72 people that are watching tonight's live stream. Guys, thank you very much for joining us here on the Thursday Night Live here on SAFC Fan TV. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And if you're going down to the Hawthorns at the weekend, as I always say, keep the faith.